All right. So now we get to go and make this thing a little more beautiful. I am now currently on 2-7. All right. So one of the things it's saying right away is we should probably have an idea like what are formulas, what are not formulas. Like for example, that is not a formula. It's the number 12. That is a formula. If you ever want to basically, it does actually give a really actually, you know what? I'm going to talk about it now. So if you hold your control key down and then what you're looking for is this key. It's the tilde key, which is sitting, or I think they call it accent as well. But anyway, it's this little squiggle line that is sitting right on top of your tab. So if you go control and hit that, you actually get to see all of the formulas, like what are formulas and what are not formulas in your workbook or worksheet. You can go control tilde or accent again, and it goes back to the way it was, and probably the way you want to actually see it. Now that said, if you just want to sort of see what's the field, you can click on the field and kind of see what it is, or the cell, I should say. If you click on the cell, you can see its formula. But if you double click on it, it'll actually highlight all the ones that are involved. So I think was this one. Was this one? Nope. Stop. Hit escape, by the way. Yeah, this guy, for example, had a bunch of cells involved. So that anyway, that was the point of that. Verify. And it sort of talks a little bit about that. And so now we move forward to formatting the actual worksheet. And what we're trying to do, and it even says it actually here, so these are two good images. We're currently here. We're going to start playing around with headings, kind of like what we did in the last one. And then we're going to start adding some conditional formatting as well. All right, so off we go. I think we will probably get a little bit more excitement out of the conditional formatting, but let's just go ahead and do this anyway. So changing the workbook theme. Workbooks also have a theme. And so you can go geez, where is it? Page layout. Thank you. Page layout. And there are actually themes. And so what they want us to do here is basically pick theme. What theme am I picking? I'm picking I'm just looking at the book to see what the theme is that they actually wanted. It looks like they want the slice theme. There's a slice theme. So notice you can, I'm just going to hover my mouse over another theme for a second, but see how it sort of shifts. You can kind of see what the theme's going to look like. Anyway, so we want the slice theme. It makes some wonderful choices about formattings and such. So that's basically a theme. The reason themes might be important is that you could be working, well, first of all, your own aestheticness of it as well, but you also might be working in a company and they're all saying, for these reports, we always use the slice theme report or something style. So there you go. Now we're going to basically do stuff that we kind of already know already. We're going to start basically messing around with this area here. So I'm going to, what it's saying to do here is it says here, by the way, is 2.8b, 2-8b. We're going to highlight A1 and A2. And then what I'm going to do is make sure from the Home tab, there's these styles. And it's asking me to pick the title style. So there it is. Title is done. Beautiful. Now, this is the main title. This is the subtitle. So here it says to decrease the font. I'm just going to decrease it like that. So now it's been decreased. And and that was it for that page. All right, awesome. Next. Now what I want to do is I want to adjust the background color because I want to basically make it look kind of, green, I guess. So I'm going to click on all three of these because that's what it's asking for. And I'm going to use the fill and it wants me to use this green here. So I got that green there. Remember, report is not in cell B. It is carrying over from cell A. We'll be fixing that soon. All right, so I scroll down. And is there anything else it's supposed to do? Dark green anywhere? Um, yeah, actually, they did not. Oh, they did. Oh, those silly guys. They wanted me to actually do this whole thing as green. All right, well, there you go. Whole thing's now green. Yay. All right, cool. We keep going down, and that is it for that. So we're just chunking along really quick. Now on -8, it's got apply a cell style to the column headings and format the total rows. All right, so the column headings are A5 to K5. All right, so we're going to go to cell styles. So back up here again, cell styles, and we're picking heading 3. That's all done for us. Awesome. We also want this to be centered. And I don't really agree with that, but it's not my book. What I would normally do, just to be clear, is I would right justify the numerical fields and then in theory left justify the character fields, but that is not what they're asking. So let's just go ahead and do that. Make sure you check in with your people when you're doing this for real so that you know what they do. Totals, which is row 18, they want us to use styles and they want us to use the total. So we got that done. Then it also says to bold on step 5. It says to bold A9. So basically bold these guys, A9 to A21. We're bolding. All right, done. Next is format dates and center the data in the actual cells. So the first thing we're going to do is look at these dates, and they are heading towards the idea that we don't want to see the century, right? So, but it's a good deal anyway. So how do you format these things? Well, they want us to go into the home tab and then the number dialog. This is definitely one way to do it, and I may as well do it this way first. So you right click on here, it's going to go straight to date. You can pick all the various date formats. You can actually make your own as well, but in this case, we're just going to grab that and we're going to hit the enter button or the OK button, and we're done. Another option, by the way, if you highlight the cells, is you can right click and you can go to format, which is right there, and that allows you the same thing. All right, so we got that. He's in there, and I'm pretty excited about that. And that was all we had to do there. Oh, and center. Okay, so they want us next to go and center our service count numbers. Only the numbers and the title or the total. Cool. So you highlight those and you click center, and now those are all centered. Again, well, okay, I'll just shut up. That's good enough. Good enough. Cool. Okay, I'll tell you what I was thinking. I don't like how these aren't centered then, but whatever. Next, apply, -8F, apply an accounting number format and comma style format using the ribbon. Okay, so what we're looking at doing here is we want only dollar signs on things that are applicable, and we only want that on the first row. So that's kind of the first thing we're going to be doing. So we select the cell to contain the, looking at step 1, select the cell to contain the account number format, which is C6. There he is. Cool. And then holding down control, we're going to pick the other guys too. So that's numerical. That's a currency. E should be a currency. F should be a currency. G should be a currency. Hours worked is not a currency, but the hourly rate, which is I, that is a currency. Gross pay is a currency, and gross sales is a currency. Okay, so all those are currency. So we get to pick the dollar sign, which is called the account number format. And they're in there. Now, this is a good thing to point out right away. If you see this happening, it basically means that, like, notice the data's still there. I'm going to bring my mouse back over and hover it, and it's going to tell me that's what the data is, but the column is too small to see it. So if you bring your mouse up and move it just a bit over, you can kind of see what the value was. Good learning point there. All right, so anyway, there's that guy, account number format. Now what it's going to say is we only want dollars on the first one, right? But when we're looking at a number like this 300-0.4, that's actually $300.40. We are going to want to basically start using not so much the dollar format, but the comma format to make sure that we have all of our numbers with all of their decimals. And that's what they're asking to do there. So we do that here. We can actually go straight across Okay, pay attention to what the thing is actually asking. Okay, it's actually going straight to K. All right, done. Cool. And I think, yeah, the totals are next, right? D19, D19, what are we doing here? D19 to D21. We're down here now. D19 to D21. So D19 to D21, we also want that to be comma, and we want H 19 to I 21. We want that also to be comma. Great. I'm now actually hooked up with what the book is actually saying. What I don't like is why didn't we make these dollar signs yet? These other values, but maybe they'll become apparent later. So we're going to go next. Oh, of course. Now it's becoming important, right? Yeah, now it's important. All right. They're just showing another way to do it. So in -8G, it says to apply a currency style format with a floating dollar sign using the format cells. So it's saying select ranges C19 to C21, and then E19. I'm using my control. I'm holding it down to E91. Those are individual clicks. And then J19 to K21. So those are all the dollar signs. And then we want to have the number dialog. So we're going to click on that. And it says click currency. Remember, that's just like clicking up here, but this is another way to do it. Currency. And I think, oh, but here what we want is if they're negative, we want it to basically show up as negative with parentheses. All right, so I'm going to demonstrate this more than the book does. Yeah, the theory of that page is done. I'm going to take this 300 and I'm going to make it negative. Is it 304? I just blew it. Hang on. What is it? 304. Okay. Negative 300.4. Notice that's what negative looks like. The reason this is the case is that, especially when forms are printed and things like that, you can't necessarily see what's a negative versus some blemish on the page. So this is pretty obvious now that this is a negative number, and that's the format that we just added. We're going to make it back to positive again, and so he's good to go. Now, this next thing is a really cool idea. We're going to talk about conditional formatting. So conditional formatting, what we want is you want colors. Well, okay, that's one option. But basically, we want certain cells when they hit certain conditions to look certain ways. That's the condition. Right there. That's the condition, right? So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to try and highlight the idea that when what's the condition? Just look quickly at the rule. When is it 5? I think it's here, when they've worked less than 5 hours, we want it to stand out on the report. That's what we want. So the hours are in the service count. Actually, is that hours? I don't know what that is. No, that's hours over here. So I guess that's, if they get a certain number of service counts, if it's less than 5, we want it to highlight. So then you can click on condition formatting, and they have some rules, and this is kind of a quick way to do it, but just so you know, there's other ways to do this. There's also color scales too. This is kind of neat, where you can kind of get it to produce right here. So when I'm hovering over here, you can kind of see that it's got the bias that more is good. So green is good if you look at row 10 to 15, and then if you look right above that, 2 is bad because it's a lesser number. And they got other ways to get this done, but you can also make your own rules as well, and that's what they want us to do in this book. So we're going to make our own rules. We're going to go format only cells that contain a cell value of less than 5. Now that's the rule. So now what are you going to do? Well, at this point, it doesn't look like anything's going to happen. So we're going to click on format, and for cells less than 5, we want them to be bold, and we want them to look, and I can't remember what the color was. We want them to look orange. And that's what it's going to look like. Now, yeah, that's what it's going to look like. I'm going to go okay. That's our preview. I go okay. And now we can see that cells less than 5, so not Richard here, but Bess, Clara, and Veronica, it stands out that their service counts are less than a certain amount. Okay, and that's kind of what that part was about. Now, moving on to step 6 of this, we're going to also highlight it when the hours, uh, right, the hours worked are greater than 70. So again, you choose your area. Allow me just a little bit of a, yeah, I still don't like that. It's not lined up. So what I'm going to do is just use the formatting here and do that. All right. All right. So I'm going to highlight the area. And what I'm going to do here is do the same thing, conditional formatting. We're going to make a new rule. Now, by the way, just so you know, I could have applied, if I ever want to go back, I can actually change a rule, right? Current selection on this worksheet. I can change a rule. But anyway, without confusing this too much, I'm going to make a new rule. And it's going to be cells where the cell is greater than, and I think 70 was the answer. Please go ahead, make it bold. Make it bold, I think, right? Yeah, bold, and then make the color blue. And what crazy color did they pick for that one? They picked, yeah, I don't know. It's in the instruction somewhere, but I go background. Come on. That's it. Yeah, right. Column 3, row 4. That's it. Pick that and then go. All right, so we have conditional formatting in there. Awesome. Next. Now, pay attention to what this is talking about. This is on 8J, but they're sort of showing you all the different sort of options that you have in conditional formatting. And now we're going to go and leave that idea and now just talk about changing the width, like I kind of just did for this guy, the width and uh, the width and heights, the width of columns, heights of rows. All right, so yeah, I don't really want to talk about hidden stuff at this point. So here you go. So width. So they've decided that for whatever reason, column B needs to have its width changed. All right, and so one way to do this, I've already shown you a few times now that if your column is really gross, you can always just click on the column, move over to where you see the edge, and if you double click, it'll increase to the maximum size of the data inside of that column. And then the other thing, if you want more, you want less, you can always do that. What I want you to notice is it's hard for me to move my mouse, but up here, as I start moving my mouse, you'll see how you can actually see how much, what the width is and what the pixels are. So that's kind of what they're talking about there. They go ahead to basically say, hey, start changing columns to be a certain amount. I'm right now looking at 3. So what I'm going to do is I'll do it. I'll select column C. Great. I'm going to hold my control down and select E, F, and G. And then I'm also going to select I, J, and K. All right. So they're all numerical columns, not just numerical, but currency. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the boundary. It says J just above row 1, but this could be anywhere really. And once you've selected any of these columns, they're all going to do it together. So I'm going to hold my left mouse down and I'm going to scroll it over until my pixels, which are right now at 102, are at 140. And when it comes to your assignments, as long as you're close. So there it is, 140. Good deal. So they're done. And now let's do the same thing with rows. With the rows, right? It's the rows, or are we doing something similar to D? Oh no, we're definitely doing columns. So okay, so column D and column H And now we just apparently want to make that 107. All right, fine. 107 looks great. Yeah, I don't know. Okay, as I say, close enough. All right, so I think we got those done. I go next. As far as the height goes, we're going to now apparently select this guy here, this column, get the whole column selected. And then notice again, when we were on columns, that was the edge. We're on rows, this was the edge. And by the way, of course, this would be the edge too, but this is the edge. And so I'm going to scroll down till it says 62 pixels, which seems ridiculous because it's already at 60. Yeah, okay. Oh, come on. Come on. Give me some sugar. Okay, 62. Should get an award for that one. All right, now I'm going to scroll down above 19, so the totals. And we apparently want to make that 24. Oh, it's 23. Good enough. Move on to next. And I think it's good. Yeah, we got it. Good deal. You know what? Maybe it is a good time to talk about hiding. Can you hide a row? You can hide a row. You can hide a column. I should probably show you that. So if you're going to basically right click on, let's say we don't want to see highest, but we don't want to delete it, you can right click and hide. And now it's still there. And be careful because it's still there. So it's not super secure. You're just doing that for formatting. If you then basically want to unhide, you can highlight sort of where you believe the row is because everyone knows that row 19 is gone. And you can basically right click in here and then unhide and it'll show up. Same functionality happens here. So let's say gross sales. Actually, I'll pick one in the middle. So hours worked, I can hide it and I can sort of bring it back that way, but I think an easier way is just to highlight around and go unhide. Yeah, she's unhidden now, isn't it? So anyway, I'll do that again the way I wanted it to do it. I'm going to go hide and then I can go back here and I can go unhide, right? This is just gross. Oops. Oh my goodness. Remember, Control Z will undo a lot of stuff too. There. Okay, good deal. All right, next. I've just lost my book. There it is. Next. We're nope, 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 nope. We're losing it. We're losing it. We're losing it. Okay, yeah, we're not taking a break. We're going to continue. So now this is now function. So we've done, I think we've done the formatting. I'm sure maybe I missed it, but this is a really like I would then go through and just sort of, make sure this looks good. So yeah, that's what I would do. Oops, not that one. Yeah, here. Oh, that's interesting. Zero. Huh. Oh, because there's all right, sure, sure. They've chosen not to have zeros here. Okay. I'm sure that's somehow involved in accounting. Yeah, right there. Yeah. Okay. All right. I don't like that. I'm going to go back to that. Yeah. And so if that's the format there, I would like that to be the same format for my totals. Okay. Anybody else that's cheesing me off? So I may have just missed those steps. So again, like pay attention, but like obviously you never want to have that as a format on a spreadsheet unless you're really into the oh, once again I got the wrong one. Okay. Awesome. Did I just not pick the right one here? Oh, making it worse. Making it worse. Making it worse again. All right, come on. Let's go here. And you guys are getting a good look at how my brain works as well as formatting. I guess I guess so. I guess so. Anyway, as long as you know why it's doing that, and then you can choose, yeah, I don't like that, and then pick a different format. All right, so let's talk about some of this other stuff now. So as we go to 2.9, we're talking about spelling. There's a spell checker here. So that would be as you're reviewing. As you're reviewing your document, you can then look at some of the spelling. So let's imagine now if I go ahead and change, they've gone ahead and said, hey, spell something wrong. So I'm going to spell employee wrong. I'm going to click on, can you check spelling? It's right now, we're going to check here down. We're going to say, hey, go ahead, continue from the beginning of the document. And it finds employee, and I say, yeah, please make that correction. Okay. You can do the ignores or you can do the changes. Wonderful. And then if I do it again, so let's just start up at Atlas and go spell, I'm good to go. So that's what the spelling is all about. Awesome. And the sort of like if you had a, let's imagine that you had actually a word that you want to keep, like that, for example. I'm going to go spell, and oh, really, I'm good to go. Really, I'm good to go. Really, can I try it again? I think I had a cell highlighted. Okay, so if I thought that was important, I'm going to keep it. Then you'd want to add it to, well, you could ignore it, or if it's going to come up again and again and again, you can add it permanently to your dictionary. So from this time forward, emails will always be an appropriate word. Okay. So just be wary about doing that kind of shenanigans. But sometimes, especially with company names and stuff like that, you're going to want to, just add them so you're not constantly bugged about it. All right, so we talked a little bit more about spell checkers. Now we're talking about printing the sheet. To print the sheet, you're going to first of all want to make sure that it's going to look proper because, especially with Excel, we've gone pretty wide now. There's probably going to be some gross stuff that's going to happen if we just try to print it without paying any attention. So this one is in the page layout, right? Or have I lost my mind again? Page layout. Click the page layout button, and then it says page layout view. Okay, so I've done the page layout button in the status bar. Okay, I definitely have done I definitely have done something wrong. So let's go back to here. Nope, that's not where I want to be. We're gonna fumble around for a little bit, and then I uh might give it a break. Yeah, I thought no, 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 no. I mean, I'm seeing what I want to see, but I was expecting. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to continue what the book's doing because I'm probably just ahead of myself or hopelessly lost. Either way, in the page layout, we want to see the page layout view. That's sort of what I was trying to get to. I want to see the page layout view. And all right, now this is ridiculous. I'm going to pause video and because here's what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get us so you can actually see where the breaks are and stuff. And I know I'm just one click away from the right spot, but I don't know what it is, so I don't want to sit there and struggle through it. Just hang on a second. All right, I remember being a little bit confused when I saw this the first time too, but what is the missing step on number one if you actually do want to see this view, unless I just went past it too far? And this is, by the way, -10, is you got to go to view, and here you can actually see page layout, and that's the view that you're actually seeing in the textbook. All right, so there you go. So now what I want to do now is now I want to go to page layout and now start basically proceeding with step two, which is changing the margins. Right now, so the margins are pretty wide. What I could do is change them to narrow, which isn't a bad deal for data. Actually, before I do this, by the way, I want to point out if I printed this right now, that would be page one, that would be page two. This indicates the what's called pagination or the break between pages, and that's page three. Obviously, not super ideal, right, for what we want to do. So first thing we want to do is we want to basically make the margins narrow. And let me just make sure I'm actually recording. Yep. Make the margins narrow. Beautiful. Right. So now the margins are narrow. Next thing we want to do is, if necessary, we want to basically we want to add our names to this. Now, this is different than the book. What I would like you to do is add your own name to this rather than Sarah or um, Santana Moore, right? Especially for your assignments. So add your own name. Now notice this is in the header. So I'm just going to click off it for a second. And so now every heading will have that. And I think, although I don't know if I know how to do this, there was probably a way to add page numbers as well in the footer. And I, yeah, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that until I can remember how to do that. But anyway, I know there's a way to add your page numbers to the footer. All right, so now we've got the heading done, and what else? So page layout, and the other thing we want to do is right now this is portrait. See all this wasted space? It's basically vertical. What we can do is change our orientation to landscape. And now we're down to only 2 pages, which is not too bad. All right, cool. So next one, so now I'm on 10B, is how to print the sheet. So you go File, you can go Print. Uh, right now, this is like your standard print dialog, but there's going to be an Excel change in a minute. So we got you're printing to wherever you're going to print it. Uh, Print the active sheets, right? So only print the sheet that you're currently on, or you can also print the entire workbook, or I'll demonstrate in a second printing a selection. Correlate or whatever, the landscape, whatever, letter, that's the size of the page, whatever. Like for something this big, notice by the way, there's still 2 pages. You might want to think about like a larger size, like legal, for example, if that's appropriate. Margins, again, you have another shot at looking at the margins. But here's something interesting, scaling. So right now it's not set to scale, but I can say, hey, fit everything onto one page. And when I do that, it's smaller, but now it definitely all fits onto one page. And that's a fairly standard thing to do. And then at this point, you just go print and it would, go wherever it's supposed to go. All right, so that's your printing. If you wanted to only print a selection, then what you could do is you could highlight a selection and then the same dialog. You go File, Print. In this case, I don't want to print the whole sheet. I want to print only the selection. And that basically has that. And I think we're good there. Yeah. All right. Yeah, we're good there. So that's that page. Okay, display the printing formulas and printing the version. Well, sorry, with the formulas. Okay, so here, let's go back. I did show you this, but this is a good reminder. By the way, if you're tired of looking at this view, then what I would do is go back to view and go back to normal again. So remember, you can hold your control key and then hit the tilde or whatever we're calling accent. And that's the key, if you remember, that's sitting right above your tab that looks like this, right? So you go control that, and that actually shows you all what the thing looks like what are the formulas behind it, and you could go and print that too if you wanted to. That'd be mostly if you wanted to sort of train people or whatever on what's going on. And again, you can have all that fit to one page. Great, wonderful. It talks about that as a dialogue. When you are scaling, so in this case, if I said File, Print, and I'm saying to scale now, so fit on all on one page. Oh, that's interesting. Why is nothing there? What happened there? What's going on? Oh, print selection, nothing selected. Okay, so up here. Um, there is an option here that you can actually adjust the scaling to be whatever you want it to be. That's what that subject's about. And now we're done. All right. So now at the end of this, you basically have this spreadsheet. Uh, when you're handing this stuff in, just like make sure it makes sense. Like again, I would not want to have decimals here either. I probably messed that up along the way. So just go ahead and clean it up a little bit. Decimals. Um, Anything else that would probably, no, I think that's about it. All right, so good. All right, so that ends this part of the video and it ends module 2.